Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Scouser. It has been quiet today here, Bickler. Technical difficulties and some other silliness happening left and right here. But we are back with our ratings video, and Bickler is with us, sobered up from the game, I see.
I slept it off, man. It was a wild one. Yes,
I know you slept it off because I'm like, Bickler, you ready? Bickler, you ready?
It's
Bickler?
probably for the
Bickler?
best. I don't think anybody needed to see that. So this is probably
I don't know.
version.
Yeah, that could have been our best, but perhaps last podcast that we ever do live. So I don't know. Maybe people got away with one on that one. But so everything you thought it would be, and then some for this game.
No, I mean, like I figured it'd be a tight one throughout. So to go into halftime with a 3-0 lead on City, I mean, you just don't ever see that happening. But I mean, we'll get into it more in the pods, but I thought the first half was like a tactical masterpiece in how to play City. Push the line high up and squeeze narrow in the midfield and force them to beat you wide. So I was like, I loved it. I mean, I think even with De Bruyne and Rodri in there, it would have caused them significant problems.
Yeah, it felt like we had it down, but that takes a lot of like intensity. And the way Klopp even said, like, this is like he felt like the best half we played. And honestly, I personally did not feel like that, but we worked a lot. And I know he more takes pride in not the passing the movements and the, like creating chances. He's more about the intensity and the pressure that we put City under. And I think that's what he was referring to. And I think, I know they were missing like some of their players, but I thought we took well advantage of that. The problem with that is the moment you kind of say, oh, okay, I think we got this. And the moment a little bit of the intensity is gone, it kind of can go downhill, which is kind of like what happened. But I almost felt like if they even tied it in the last second, if we went to overtime, we would wake back up. And if we were on our game, there was no way they were beating us today. But so let's get to the ratings right away. This is going to be an interesting one. I don't know if we're going to agree on everything. We're usually pretty darn close, but let's start with the man in goal. Alisson, what do you have for him today?
Yeah, so I've been critical of him lately, so I'll just continue on that theme. I had him at a 6.5. He played that really scary pass out of the back in the first 15 minutes of the match. And then anytime you get 5-hole near post by an Algerian, you lose points. So that's where I landed with him.
I was going to give him 6. 6 being our average, by the way, but I was going to give him a 6. I thought, especially in the first half, first of all, I know it's part of how we play, how part of every team plays, but it was giving me a lot of heart attacks. Even doesn't matter what the scoreline is. But I thought even when we were able to move the ball around, when he was putting it into play, I can remember at least, 3-4 instances where he just literally kicked it out of bounds, like trying to get to Robertson, and it was like way over his head, not even close, way behind him and stuff like that. Even when he was in pressure, which is not like him. The goals, the second goal, I think the first goal, there's not much he can do, but I think the second goal, he could have done better, but I wouldn't put that on him. I thought we got just beat easily over the top, but I would give him a 6. Trent, I was going with Alan Walnut says, what's up with Mo, which we'll get to him. I think he's being over criticized today, but we'll get to that. Trent, what do you have for him?
I had Trent at an 8.5. I thought he quietly had a very, very good game, especially defensively. We're used to seeing him ping balls over the top. I thought the service that he provided was decent, but I thought more so he played very, very well defensively.
He did. This is probably one of his best defensive games, I would say. But it makes you wonder, did that go kind of hand in hand? He was told to focus more on defensive work rather than pushing up, because we didn't see him push up as much as he did, but he was very solid. In terms of one-on-ones and stuff like that, I'm trying to think of the game now. It feels like he won every single one-on-one that was going against him and stole the ball. And comfortably too, not just kick it out of bounds or anything, started like a counter right away. So I have him actually at a 7.5. I thought he did pretty darn good defensively, but not as much putting forward. Konate, I have him at 7. I thought nothing exceptional, above average. I was amazed, as a physical beast as he is. At one point, he does struggle with people who he can't shoulder. like Sterling, because Sterling's shoulder is at like Konada's hip. So he could, but I was like, when you compare to like when he was playing against Nunez, for example, against Benfica, he can like shoulder people when they're next to him, but not as much when they're littler. He can't find the shoulder to push down. What do you have for him?
Actually, I cannot at an 8.5 today, just because, I mean, I thought he did. I didn't see him uncomfortable all day. I thought he was sound positionally. He has that header. What they're doing, putting Jesus on him on a corner, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm not going to complain about that. I thought he was really good today.
How about the partner, Van Dijk?
I had Van Dijk at a 7.5. I don't think Van Dijk did anything like glaringly wrong today. I thought he had a pretty solid performance. I do think that pre-ACL verge probably prevents that second goal from happening.
It was weird. I have him at 7.5 as well. I think that's fair. When I saw him like reaching for that, I was like, we're in trouble, because you could tell the moment he does that we're kind of like, he got just caught out of position and was not where he was supposed to be. And I was like, oh shit. And obviously the goal happens. Let's get to the left side with Robertson.
Yeah, so I had Robbo at a 7.5. It's interesting because they really targeted that left side, which I figured with them moving Cancelo over, they'd be targeting the opposite side that Trent was on going forward. So it was really, they must have seen something in that midfield they liked on that left side. So it was very interesting to see Robbo kind of the role reversal between Trent and Robbo, sort of Robbo pushed further up, Trent drops further back. I thought the service from corners was really, really good all day. I had him at a 7.5.
7.5 is fair. I was gonna go 7, but what the hell? I'll meet you there at 7.5. I felt, yeah, it was odd. That's a great point, because at some points in the game, he was almost towards the middle, kind of like how Trent would be on the right hand side. And I thought he did really well. And I think that's a really good partnership we got brewing on that left hand side there. So that was like definitely nice to see. What a difference a different game makes for Fabinho, huh? I mean, he was a total different defensive midfield today compared to the Premier League game last week. I have him at like 7.5. I thought this is kind of like what we need from him in these City games.
Yeah, I thought he was. I had him at a 7. I thought he was good. I thought he did, everything you want him to do in that mid, where he just kind of cleans up the loose balls and sort of reorganizes things. I think what prevents him from going higher is probably he didn't have any of those like amazing over the top balls that we see him pick out sometimes. But yeah, solid overall. At him at 7.
We go to the other. I'll be honest, and I said this on the Discord fan channel when we were talking before the game. When I saw this, I mean, we're talking about this on the Thursday podcast as well, and I was like, man, I do not want to see Thiago and Keita next to each other, because I was worried about that defensively. Let's start with Thiago. I mean, the dude is pure class. I put him at 7.5. I could even give him an 8 today. I thought he was really solid and just kind of like boss that midfield, man. He's unreal. What do you have for him?
I mean, I totally agree with you. I have him at a 7.5 too. And that's just the difference between winning possession and flipping it, right? I mean, we struggled to have the ball last time we played City. And if you don't have the ball, you basically just nullify Thiago. And I think so us being able to control possession was huge. I thought he was actually really good defensively, like surprisingly composed defensively. 7.5 is fair. A lovely little chip for Mane. Yeah, good game for him.
I mean, he had so many like passes throughout the game that you were like, holy cow, that is freaking sweet. Like outside of the foot, inside of the foot. I know, was that the second half? He threaded a ball through to Mo that probably Mo would have should have finished. I think that's the one that he didn't cross over and stuff. But yeah, I thought he was amazing in midfield. How about my boy Naby, lad? What do you have for him?
Yeah, so I hate Naby on the right. So that was a real heart-stopping moment seeing that lineup roll out with him on that side. But I thought he played really, really well. I mean, this is the most in form we've seen him for definitely the longest period of time since he's been with us. So it's good to see him make a lineup in a match like that. That's got to be great for his confidence. I had him at a 7. I thought he was really good throughout.
I actually will give him a 7.5. I mean, this is the way we played this game suits him a lot more, because I think his biggest strength is his pressing. And we were able to, I mean, especially on that left-hand side, especially with Ake on the left and then the left back with Zinchenko. I mean, they were all over them, and he was a crucial part of that. And it felt like we kept winning the ball over and over and over again, or at least forcing them to kind of like play it long and stuff like that. So this suits him a lot more, and I kind of like it more where he just focuses on the pressing as opposed to trying to thread the ball and leave that role to Thiago when he plays with Thiago. And I felt he did that today. So the newer guy in town, Diaz, we have a find there. I have him at 7.5. Just his work rates, and man, he is solid. And honestly, you look at him and he doesn't look it, but he's a very physical player and he is freaking strong. I mean, I guess we have a bunch of these guys now, so they know how to find them. But what do you have him at?
I had him at an 8, which is about as high as I go with any, without him getting on the score sheet. Like, I just think it can't be understated how good he is. He had Cancelo, who has been the hottest fullback on planet Earth for the duration of the season. He had Cancelo on ice every single time he had the ball. Like, every single time he had a beat. And, like, that's so rare. Like, it was pretty amazing to watch. I think Cancelo gets away with a couple. I mean, Cancelo could have very easily had a couple yellows in accumulation of that, just because, like, I thought, the one where he went knee on knee after he was clearly beat should have been a yellow, and then the one where he just basically bodied Diaz up and hit him up top so he couldn't get to the ball, that was a professional foul that I thought should have been a yellow as well. Diaz just basically took their best defender and had his way with him all day.
Yeah, funny you mentioned that, because Alan Walnut says, what about Oliver and his attitude towards Fernandinho? Absolute lie, allowing numerous tackles by one elbow. And that was like my biggest thing. I agree that the tackle he had on Mane is a yellow. It's not a straight red. Right. But he should have had probably 2 yellows by then. And so that would have been the second yellow and a red. Yeah, I was pretty disappointed. I'm usually like how Oliver kind of manages the games, I should say, and I thought that was bad, but I'm sure we'll go into more detail on Monday's podcast when we have Gally with us as well. Sadio, what do you have for Sadio?
Well, that's Sadio at a 9, man. He's loving that central role. I'm loving him there. It's weird when you think of our top 5 and you're looking at a lineup where you can make the argument that both Jota and Bobby have to play their way into a striker role. Like, it's insane. But, I mean, Mane is playing that well in the center, and Diaz has played himself into arguably the top 5 in the entire world, which is amazing. We had players like Daka turn us down because they didn't see a way into that lineup. Diaz comes in and just basically makes that left side his. We have the luxury to slide Mane over when we've got injury issues and fitness issues. I thought his work rate was tremendous throughout. I mean, his second goal was like world class outside of the foot banger. Yeah, great match by Sadio.
Yeah, I have him as 9, and it was, I'm assuming, yours as well, like man of the match. I mean, his work rate, I think, was the most impressive. I know he doesn't have the fine feet that like Bobby has when he gets the ball in the middle in terms of like facilitating stuff, but he was great at starting that press today, and obviously that second goal. And I like how, they kind of like tried to take it away from the American goalie as much as freaking possible by saying like such a big error by City and Guardiola. And I was like, really? Like, this is how we're playing this? But yeah, listening to that ESPN broadcast, we'll probably talk about that tomorrow too. That was quite painful. But yeah, I will give him a 9 as well. I thought he was outstanding, even without the goals. The work rate, starting the press, and his distribution overall, helping midfields. Yeah, it is odd, and it's such a luxury to see Jota and Bobby come off the bench, by the way. But how about Mo? We'll go back to the beginning, and I'm seeing all kinds of stuff online. And I thought, yes, he did not get a goal, but I still have him at a 7.5. I thought his work rate was great. He created chances. He got into the situations. I know none of them went in, and then Mo 3 months ago has a hat trick today, but it is what it is. That's kind of like how it happens with like strikers sometimes. You're a striker. And I don't know. I thought he played well. It wasn't the usual Mo that keeps turning the ball over or something like that. I thought he was keeping possession. He was keeping them busy, making those runs. And I have him at 7.5.
Yeah, I had him at a 7. If he plays like that every match, the goals will come, right? I think today was like a severe case of recency bias by a lot of people. Like, I don't think to me, he didn't struggle the way that he's been struggling. Just because he didn't score doesn't mean that he struggled today. And I thought he was much better, much cleaner on the ball. He looked rested. Like I thought his distribution was good. He wasn't forcing the issue, trying to dribble through four guys. I thought he had a much better game.
Yeah, like I said, you're probably right. I think that's a good analysis in terms of like the history bias. I mean, if he had scored last week, I don't think anybody's like kind of like giving him a low grade today. I do agree to that. Alan Walnut says, "What do you guys think about the polling booing by the Plastic City fans?" We'll definitely. He's like, "Is that for the Monday podcast?" And yeah, we should make Alan our producer, man. He's got a lot of good stuff lined up for Monday already. But yeah, we'll definitely talk a lot more about that. I was personally shocked, but like I said, we'll go into it in detail on Monday's podcast. We'll get Gally to give his take on that as well. So let's go to the substitutions and what you have for those guys. So Jordan Henderson comes in the 73rd. I thought it was more of a move to make sure Nabi doesn't get a second yellow, and obviously his rate was dropping. Hendo is not. I'm the biggest Henderson fan probably that we have, and he has not been himself. And so I had him at like 6.5.
Yeah, I'm at a 6. It's hard to get into the flow of these matches sometimes when you're coming off like that, especially when you're used to starting. I do agree with you. I think he's brought on to sort of curb the chances of a second yellow card, kind of get some more organization in that midfield and in the leadership tangible qualities that he has. But Hendo's an interesting one. I mean, his form has been up there. I think his form recently has just been as bad as Mo. So it'll be very interesting to see this thing pan out.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's concerning because I always felt like he was, if you had Fabinho and Hendo in midfield, almost didn't matter who the third one would be. Between like Thiago and Keita, but yeah, it almost feels like he has to work hard to get back into this midfield, like the ideal. I mean, everybody's ideal trio was Fab, Hendo, and Thiago, and I think Keita's form combined with Hendo's bad form kind of probably has changed us a little bit. So 85th, when I was starting to lean back, I think. Right about then, where Jota is coming in, Bobby's coming in. We're getting the applauses, getting everybody out, getting everybody a few minutes here and there. And then, what do you have for? Let's start with Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby had a 6 as well. I mean, I think he came in and did some things, but like, there wasn't anything that sort of jumped off the charts at me in terms of like either his work rate or quality going forward. It was just okay for me. Like I said, it's tough to evaluate these guys when they come in for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, the 85th. I mean, you could probably go NA for all these guys, to be honest with you. I did not see them on the ball as much. I mean, Curtis Jones as well. Do you want to just put them at NA?
Yeah, I think Jota and Curtis Jones for me are in NA. They just didn't have enough time. It was nice to see. I mean, it's crazy to think we're at the point now where Henderson, Firmino, and Jota are coming off the bench. But, like, I mean, it just speaks to how well this has been built out from the floor up over the last 5 years.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, we'll definitely go into – that's something like I wanted to talk to you guys about as well on Monday. But I was just looking at, some of the players that we have in this deep squad. And, I don't know, like maybe like only like a year ago, we were like, yeah, but this is an aging squad and stuff like that. And you kind of look at, I mean, and we have the new kid Carvalho coming in. You still have like Elliott and stuff in there. There's a lot of good young depth on this team that will eventually replace some of these guys. And you don't really skip a beat, which is really nice to see. Man of the match, Sadio. I kind of like already called it for you just by the ratings, but so what do you make of this game overall? What do we learn?
I mean, I think the story is going to be City fields a weekend squad with a United States goalkeeper, but I think it really should be like it was to me, it was a tactical masterclass in the first half. Like, I just think the actual tactical setup and what we did defensively against City, like, should be the story, and it probably won't get talked about enough.
And do you think it would have made a difference, or it was just a matter of getting the tactics right today compared to the Premier League game? Like lessons learned from last weekend.
Oh, I definitely think we learned something. Now, like, the argument that can be made is, could we have effectively done that as well against the midfield with Rodri and De Bruyne? Because De Bruyne can hit that diagonal ball out with enough pace to beat you consistently. And that's what we made him do, is hit the long diagonal and then beat us out wide. knowing that we would probably have the time if they beat the high line to recover, which we did. So, I mean, I think De Bruyne is a true X factor. That definitely hurts them not having him in there.
And are you amazed that he did not come in?
No, I'm not, because the injury was stitches, and they're not gonna run the risk. Even if he got inside out stitches, they're not gonna run the risk of that opening up. Because if it opens up, then he's for sure out for the remainder of their matches.
Then it's just mind games, you think, to put him on the bench?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, perhaps they could have dressed it in a way where they thought it was pretty safe for him to go out there without the chance of it opening up. But I think if you're putting him on the bench and you're going to put him in, you probably do that when you're down a goal or two.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see. Now, I wouldn't want it, and my heart wouldn't want it. But if they had the second goal a bit earlier, maybe like 75 or something like that, he would to get him out there to kind of like chase the game. It almost came in at the end, and nervy moments there for you. I know it was for me. There was a lot of swearing at Oliver to blow the goddamn whistle. I might have done that for like 3 minutes straight, but nervy as hell at the end, or still comfortable, just kind of like a little scared.
I mean, I felt like the scoreline was much closer than that game felt. I felt like we really dominated from front to back. I mean, even when we conceded, they felt like just squirmy sort of one-off weird situations. Like I genuinely felt like we dominated that game. So always a little bit nervous just because it's like Liverpool and you're like, here we fucking go again. But like I felt pretty good about it. Maybe it was the 8 beers I had probably helped, but like I felt pretty good about it going in.
8 sounded like an estimate because you were like, after 6, I'm not sure, give or take 2 is what I'm thinking, since you kind of passed that afterwards on us. But well, Bickler, thanks for the ratings. We'll be back on Monday with Gally with us, and we'll kind of like break it down a lot more and look ahead to the United game. Thanks a lot, everybody. See you guys Monday.